Okay, let's see what happens. This is James Maduke speaking. You're watching Wednesdays. It's an open classroom at trainingsites.io and teachonline.io, where we show you how to start, build, and grow your own teaching business, your training sites, everything you need to do to start, build, and grow them. So these are ad hoc calls that happen every Wednesday around 1 o'clock, and we try and cover some topics that are important to you if you're just thinking about teaching online, if you're just thinking about building a membership site or a training site, you're trying to figure out how to create a course, you don't know what to do or how to do it. So, all the things in and around online courses and online teaching and online training, whether it be on WordPress or any of the other platforms that are available. So, what we'll do today is I'm going to make sure, of course, that we're broadcasting properly, which would be great. And also go through, there's a couple things I wanted to talk about. One of them was I was actually reminded, I had an interview with a really cool book author about 20 years ago, and I just got reminded of it today. So I'm going to talk about that shortly. I also want to talk a little bit about cohorts today, and also where the whole market's going with all of this online teaching and training sites, and just kind of rant about that. Rant or discuss, think out loud about that. And of course, if you are online when you're right now, there is the chat available to you. You can certainly use the chat, ask any questions. And of course, if you haven't already done so, join our community at teachonline.io. It's free to register your account. There's lots of great information there, and you can ask questions of myself and the other members about their experiences teaching online. So, and again, of course, we're live on YouTube, and I think I've got this going on Facebook today. We're going to add some more platforms as get a little more comfortable with some new technology on our end, but make sure to subscribe and join those as well. So let me just do a quick shot here, and I want to make sure actually on the other side, there we go. We're actually live, which is important. That's what I wanted to see first. So we're live, we're going. I think I got some sound. Everything seems to be working properly. Again, questions. If you have questions or comments, they are available here for you. I do get them, and I will read them. So, what do I want to talk about? The first one is I had a radio show, like a real radio show called Small Business Heroes, and that was it was in the 2000s, I think around 2008, somewhere around there. And I had it. I did it for a year, and each week, what I did is I interviewed some local, but also some people who were involved in the training business at that time, who were small business heroes. Some of them were actual businesses that were growing and doing some interesting things. And then other ones were authors and coaches and people who were helping small businesses. And I was lucky enough to have an interview with a gentleman by the name of, I believe it's Michael Gerber. I'm going to have to go back and do this. And at the time, there was a real big push with online businesses and the small businesses, specifically the people who have, 1, 2, 3 people. They're not huge businesses. They're under 10 employees maybe, or they're just by themselves. But there was a huge push on something called systemizing your business. And it was all started by this book that Michael Gerber wrote. And the book is still really important today, which is interesting. The book was called The E-Myth. And the E-Myth was all about the entrepreneurial myth. And in that book, he made this huge distinction that most of the people that were starting small businesses were the technicians, or were technicians who basically had some expertise, but they were trying to do everything for themselves. So they had this technical perspective of wanting to control and be the one that does everything. And most people that were reading it were finding that they just didn't have time to do everything they needed to do in their business. In fact, you can get consumed by this. If you're trying to grow any bigger than taking care of your individual clients or customers, there's only so many hours in a day. And his book, the whole idea behind the book was that you have to shift from a technical perspective to an entrepreneurial perspective. And most people who have these small businesses really think that they are entrepreneurs as small business owners, but they're not. They really don't have a small business. They're just a technician, and they're working and trading time for dollars, and you can't grow in that way. You've got to be able to basically release the work that you're an expert in by systemizing your business, and that allows you to grow. So if you haven't had a chance yet, definitely pick up the book called The E-Myth. It's still as important today as it was 20 years ago, or 18, I think it was probably close to 20 years ago. It's still as important today as it was then. It's a nice, simple read. And in fact, what I'm going to do, I just got reminded of this just before I came on. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go look back because I have all the recordings. I talked to him, I think, it was probably 30 minutes or so. But I talked to him for 30 minutes. I'm going to go back and I'm going to go through my archive, my digital exhaust, all of the files and stuff that I have. And I'm going to go and try and find those interviews, and I'll post them back on teachonline.io. So I think I talked to him for almost an hour, and we went over the pieces in the book. The show was an hour long, and I used to do like 3 20-minute interviews, but because he was so interesting, I went, hey, I better talk to this guy the whole hour. And he was nice enough to jump on the show and have a nice chat with me. So I'll try and find that recording and upload it. But I wanted to talk about it a little bit today. The big reason is because many of the people who are teaching online or who want to teach online and turn it into a business, they're often in the position where they have their area of expertise, and they might be a subject matter expert who knows how to play a guitar, or knows how to be a handyman, or knows how to do something in business, or knows a huge amount of knowledge, and they're trying to figure out, well, how can I create a course so I can release myself from doing all the work for other people, whether they be customers or clients, or however your business is set up, as if it's a service, for example, or some kind of product that you have. But how can I release myself from sharing that expertise by creating an online course? And it becomes very difficult, because if you are an expert in, let's say, for example, playing an instrument, and you want to create a learning site where you can teach this to people online, so you're not physically going to some place, or you want to be able to teach more than one person at a time, or a couple people at a time. You're thinking, oh great, I should have a course, and I'll sell my course so that I can monetize my expertise and grow it. But you're figuring, I'm an expert on teaching online. I'm not an expert on having online courses, or creating online courses, or having a site to sell those courses, or figuring out what kind of courses I should make, or should they be long? And then how technical do I need to be? Do I need fancy cameras? Do I need fancy microphones? So you're left in a position where you're going, okay, I know I want to grow a business in the form of teaching online and having my own training site, but how do I do it? And you have 2 choices. And these are the choices actually that we provide, or my company provides, to help you in either of those situations. And the 2 situations are, one is you can just continue to be the expert in your field, and you can have someone do for you all of the other technical pieces that are involved. And that's things, for example, like creating your course, or editing your course, or setting up your learning campus. So there's all of those technical things that can be done. We have the trainingsites.io, which is our agency business, and that's exactly what we do for people. We set up training sites, we help people build courses, we do editing, we help people market their courses. So if you find yourself where I just want to teach, I don't want to do anything else, but I know I have to build my business, be able to create and sell courses, and have that part of my business set up, marketing my courses, you can continue to be the expert in the subject and hand that stuff off. So that's trainingsites.io. So we have that whole agency side of our business. Now, I also recommend or recognize that some people are not too bad actually at the technical part, and they have some of it already set up, and they just may need a little bit of fine tuning or guidance. They may also be on a limited budget or just starting out and they can't afford to have someone do it. So they have to do it kind of piece by piece and start small and grow into something a little bit bigger. So that's where teachonline.io is. That's our community where we share all of our expertise and all of the action guides, the maps, the blueprints, the tutorials, the mini courses, the question and answer, the cohorts, all of that information about starting, building, and growing your own learning campus and being able to create and sell those courses. We have all of that information in there for someone who just goes and says, look, I'm starting out slow. I'm not quite ready to have someone do it for me. I want to learn myself and be involved in it so that I can at least understand what options are available to me to get educated on all of the different options that are available to you to, actually create and sell courses. So you may want to get in there, poke around and learn. It's the do-it-yourself type. That's teachonline.io. And we got a ton of courses and a ton of information available there that's broken into a number of bite-sized pieces, sort of maps, and then sort of action plans and maps. And then we have the big package, which is what we call the campus blueprint, which encompasses everything. So those are kind of the two ways to look at it. One is done for you. The other one is do it yourself. Either one works. And where this flashes back to the E-Myth is that many of the people that start on the do-it-yourself, the DIY group, they may get started in there. However, they never make the transition to the part where they can remove themselves from that DIY part. And how do I know this? Well, to be honest with you, I've been doing this, 20 some years, teaching people online, selling courses. And the unfortunate part for someone who does sell courses about things like building a campus and training sites and online courses, if I teach about that, the issue becomes if someone knows what they should do, will they actually do it? And in many cases, the people that we've trained, lots of them do, of course, become successful. They have their own learning campuses. They create multiple courses. They have a small business in and around courses and everything that entails. But a lot of people just never get over the hump, and they get stuck in being a technician and wanting to know everything and do everything themselves. There's just no time. So, you may find because it's a budget issue, you may not be able to get started. You have to have the goal at the end of the day is that I want to be able to remove myself from the technical part of my business, systemize that, and then be involved in the creative part of my business and having the big entrepreneurial vision of what the potential of sharing what I'm passionate about to everyone. So that E-Myth, something, if you could put up, one of the things is like, I'm in my office, right? And you see behind me, I've got a little bit of a studio set up. We've got lights, all sorts of stuff. If I turn the camera to the front, there's lights, there's monitors, there's two PCs. I've got a laptop over here. We've got microphones. We've got switching buttons, all sorts of stuff that's very messy. But in one spot, I'd like to just make sure that I can put up the focus on the wall, so I'm looking at it all the time. It's keep in mind that entrepreneurial myth, or keep in mind what's the big picture for your business, your campus. What is it you want to teach people how to do? What is it that you want them to be involved in? So these are things you kind of have to think through, and I think remember, and either end of it, if you're going to do it yourself, that's fine. If you want it done for you, at the end of the day, keep that goal on, I want to teach online. I want to share what I know. And if I can build a business out of that, and that's your goal, that's the part that I can certainly help you with, whether I teach you how to do it and guide you through that process, or if we actually do it for you. So write something down. Just put a big piece of paper with big notes in front of you. Just keep a big picture in front of you and stay focused on that. So I just wanted to rant a little bit about that. And the only reason is because I saw, I think it was a YouTube short someone had put on, and it was just that. It was all about the E-Myth, and just reminded me about this interview that I've done. So I'll try and find it. I'll put the link in after this broadcast. And if you get a chance, make sure to go and download it and listen to it, because it is pretty interesting. His perspective on things, and more importantly, why it's still important today. Okay, so that's one thing I wanted to talk about. The other thing that came up, of course, when we were talking about systemizing the business, we focus on systemizing the business on our agency side. We teach systems on the Teach Online side, where we have these maps. Those are systems or systemizing parts of setting up a learning campus, creating courses, being able to sell those courses. There's systems required or maps required for you to do that. But on the other hand, we use the exact same maps in our agency at trainingsites.io to implement what it is we're teaching, but we follow those ourselves. So the reason I mention that today is because what I think I'll do shortly is I may show you the tool that we use in the agency for managing those processes and systems. And again, I'll include the link. Some of the ones that you'll hear, number of YouTube videos and other people that I subscribe to on YouTube, there's a couple that names that come up. One that was really, really popular recently is called ClickUp. And ClickUp is, I'm going to use project management tool. There's ClickUp is one that's very, very popular. There's another one now that is Smart Suite, it's called. There's ones like Monday. They're really designed around helping you systemize your business and your processes internally. So one that I use is called Teamwork, and I'll show you, I'll bring that up in the background here in a second. I'll go through some of the processes or an example of a process where you can systemize your business or the processes that are involved in your business. And in many cases, the process is really creating courses, right? So if you are teaching online, what's the steps to that? What's the process that's involved? If you are going to build, for example, a learning campus, like the popular ones that we do with BuddyBoss and LearnDash on WordPress, that's just an example. There's a process to actually implement that. So teamwork.com is the one that we use. I think what I'll do, let me bring that up and basically in the background here. I'll just see if I can get that running, and we'll put one in here. Just make sure it's open, and we'll go to a project. Let me see if we got one here. I'm just trying to fix one up that's okay. So just trying to find one that's a good one that shows how this works. Let me go back, and haven't shown it yet, so just be patient. Where would be a good one? I'm trying to find one that's a course. One that creating a course is or creating a campus. That would be the one that I'd probably want to show. Actually, here's just one as an example. Let me do this one. This one is an onboarding one. And the onboarding one, let me do this one here. There we go. So here's one here on this screen. Hopefully you'll be able to see it. This is an example. This is Teamwork. This is Teamwork where this is the actual app that we use. And The staff can log into it, and what we do is we have some templates that basically allow us to systemize the process. Now, here's just an example of one that we have for onboarding. So this is a client onboarding template. So if someone was about to, has signed up for our agency, these are the parts that we would go through with them, and we'd click them off one by one. So we have a process, as an example, for onboarding a new client. And this kind of process is something that everyone goes through, but it allows us to have a consistent experience for people that do business with it. Now, how does this become part of the entrepreneurial myth? Well, if I put this together as an example, I'm not the one necessarily that has to do it now, because there's a process and the staff can be involved in it, either all or part of it. But more importantly, I'm able to hand off this task to people because we have a set system in place and there's expectations as to what happens in the system. If I can move from controlling this onboarding to be able to have it as a process that people know that internally that, hey, this is what has to happen and this is what should happen, it allows me to not be the technical part of the business, but to be the entrepreneurial part of the business. So you can have systems for everything. And when it comes to creating courses, creating campuses, building out your business, you have to do this as well. And specifically the course part. I think most of the people that we deal with have a lot of trouble creating their first course. And that's for a number of reasons. Lots of times they just may be uncomfortable in front of the camera. They may not have the equipment the way they want. They may be hung up on what kind of course they should actually put together, what's entitled to a course, those kind of things. So, if you can get a process in place so that you know what you should be doing and being able to do it once, but hand the rest of your business off, you got a great opportunity to actually grow a business and just focus on creating your content. So this is teamwork. That's one that just an example of one we use. I'm just trying to find a good one that's a big one. And find here's one, for example. This is one here that this is another view of a project, and this is just an example of the course ideas that we put together for Teach Online. So this is actually a dashboard of what we do when we're thinking about courses. So we have a big list here. Right now, if you can see, I can scroll down. These are 177 ideas for courses right now that we've got. So every time we think of a course, we put it into the ideas. We're doing any kind of research here. We've got third-party research, then we've got YouTube research, because a lot of these videos, not only do they go on Teach Online, but they're going up on YouTube. And then we have course research for laying out a syllabus, that kind of thing. And then they go to in production and then publish. So we have a set process here that we know this is how we create a course, or these are the parts to create a course. And as they get worked on, they move from section to section, and we're able to really control that and play around with that. So think about the systems that you have or don't have in place. Think about looking at the big picture, being an entrepreneur as opposed to a technician, and focus on teaching. Focus on how can I create online courses quickly? What do I need as a bare minimum to get them set up for selling? And how can I focus on helping my customers or sharing my expertise? So I hope that's something you can kind of get your head around. I'll put that interview up. I only rant about it today just because I got reminded by watching a short this morning. So kind of cool thing. Teamwork's kind of cool. I can put links on those ones. And I think maybe what I'll do right now is I'm just going to talk about one other thing with systems. And this is something that we use internally. And I'll give you an example of why we use Teamwork. Some of the other tools that we talked about, ClickUp, Monday, SmartSuite, I've looked at them all, and they're very, very good systems. They're all good. The one thing that Teamwork does that I really like is they have a suite of products within Teamwork. And the ones that they have that are interesting is if I go to the, hopefully I can go to the Teamwork site directly. Oh, it's always going to go to it. So let me just see if I can get there. No, I don't think it's going to let me get there because I'm logged in. Let me log out here and see if I can get in. No, arg. Let me log out. There we go. The one thing that they do that's really interesting for businesses, and at least for my business, is they have done something that those other kind of tools haven't. And what they do is they actually have more than just the project management. They also include, let me just pull one up. They also include a desk, a help desk, so that you can actually have a help desk available to you separate from the project management. And I mean separate is that we have trouble tickets, right? People have questions about stuff that they just want to send an email and they want to open up a ticket and get a response to. So they have a dedicated help desk as part of Teamwork. They also have a dedicated chat, so that if internally we need to talk, or we can even put it on our websites as public, someone wants to chat with us directly, it's set up and it's integrated into Teamwork. They also have a CRM so that we can manage our sales funnel directly within Teamwork. And these are just examples of a process, or how to use a process within a business. So Teamwork's pretty cool. If you do get a chance or you're looking for these ones, there's, I wonder where they have, see if we can pull up the one. Privacy, deliver. Of course, I'm in the wrong area. But there we go. Teamwork Desk, CRM, chat, and spaces. So they basically have a knowledge base. These are 4 additional pieces to the project management. They're already set up. If you were looking at a number of the other tools, you have to basically use the tool to create a help desk or to create a CRM using some of the templates within it. These ones are already set up. It's a nice way that just to use processes again within your small business. And I don't want you to do all this. I'm showing you because that's what we had to do. You need to be able to offload this as the teacher in your campus or in the creation of the tools. So got a little sideways there on the rant. It's just something that works well. I just wanted to share because some people ask and say, hey, how do you guys keep track of everything when you're creating courses? Or how do you keep track of everything to do? And unfortunately, there is an awful lot to do. Let me pull this one up. This is actually, what I just pulled up is a mind map. And we'll do this one. I'll actually open this one up here. See if I can get one that's, I'll open up a map that just gives you an idea of how busy some of these can be or what's involved. And I would like to say, oh yeah, it's pretty simple just, you know, to be able to do, there we go. Let's try this one. Okay, so here's one, just an example. Here's one here, 10 steps to create a great online course. So here's a bit of an action plan, but when you go through this and you're going, okay, great, I just want to create a course. First of all, you got to pick the right topic, right? So you have to do some research on it. You have to confirm the demand for the actual course that you're creating. You have to figure out what the different outcomes are. You have to go and collect and gather your content in a way that is appropriate for however you want to set up what you're teaching. You have to do a structure or a flow chart of what's the syllabus of it. What is the actual flow or course lesson syllabus, so that you know that these are the steps that I need to teach in a particular order. What's the best way to deliver the content? Is it video? Are they live classes? Is it text? Is it assignments? What are the other pieces that have involved? And if you look at this and people say, well, I want to do an online course, we haven't even started creating the course yet, right? This is all about just homework for you before you actually create the course, if you want to be able to teach online. Best way to deliver, capture net of your course content. So it's one thing to capture yourself on video or record or do a PowerPoint presentation or screen captures or copy a live event or do Zoom calls. You've got to capture all of it, and then you have to edit that particular piece. So these are a whole bunch of steps in a process, and there's always an awful lot to do with courses. And this is the thing that the only reason I'm talking about processes today is to understand that you will go through these even if you don't think you're going through them. But understanding what they are and doing them in the correct order can make things go a lot faster and make things consistent each time that you want to do this. The frustrating thing that I see with some customers and some clients is they may start off doing courses one way just because they happen to do it that way, but it's very difficult to repeat it because they didn't have a documented process that they went through the first time. Some people just do one quickly to get started and then go, okay, I like the way this turned out, and then take a look back and say, this is the process that I followed, and improve on the process each time. So always a lot to do, always a lot to follow up on, and it's always about learning. It's always about learning. What did I do right? What more can I do differently to work it, to make the learning easier next time, not only for myself, but for the people that are there. So what else do I want to talk about? If you have questions, again, teachonline.io, join the community. If you want it done for you, trainingsites.io. And of course, if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, join the page or subscribe to the channel. So, and again, if you missed the name, it's James Maduke, and been on here since '96, I think. So have a little bit of hair under the bridge, not much left, but lots of stuff to share here. And that's basically why we put the site together. So systems, process, courses, focus on the outcomes for people, focus on what it is that you want to share, and try and offload as much as possible. If you have any questions, make sure to put them in the comments, or you can do them in the chat if you're live on the session right now, but it's all available for you to basically get involved. And let me just move this over there. Just playing around with courses. Again, neat stuff here. I'm going to actually, here's the next thing I just want to talk about. And it has to do with courses and online courses. And this one's pretty cool. And the only reason I mention it is because we're going to go back to, I'm going to go back to project management. But when you get into these processes of creating courses, one of the things that I found personally is that you saw that I had that list of possible courses. There's a ton of steps, obviously, in creating the courses. And if you can minimize or remove steps, it hurries things up and allows you to do stuff faster. One of the things, just to give you an example of when we first started creating courses, the first times I did them, we actually had to have like a digital camera with tape or filming us live. So we would basically build a little bit of a studio. You get a tripod with a digital camera up, digital video, and what you would do is you would film yourself. The lighting was bad. If you didn't have a good microphone or you couldn't afford a lavalier mic, the audio was atrocious. But that process involved getting raw video or capturing raw video not of a screen capture or not of a webcam or an iPhone or something or a smartphone. It was actually a physical video camera. So we recorded it, and then once we recorded it, we had to find a way to get it from whatever medium it was saved in the digital camera, the video camera. We'd have to find a way to get it into the computer, and then we'd have a piece of software. And many times we had to get a third party to edit it to make it look somewhat professional. And if there were multiple cuts, or the lighting was bad, or the audio was bad, there was a huge amount of work done around editing. And if you have, for example, an hour recording, having a course means chunking up or breaking that hour into multiple lessons. That's the difference between a course and just a recording of a video. So you'd be able to chunk it, but you wanted to look as best you could, and you might want to put logos in, or you might want to, have a cut between someone just talking into the camera and maybe a picture of a PowerPoint slide or something along those lines. So you had to have someone to actually go and do these edits. And it took a long time for that. And then once it was done for an edit, you had to find a place to host these videos, upload the edited videos to some place. Then you had to have a website to be able to deliver those videos. Ton of steps and an awful lot of work. It was a lot of work. And the goal for me personally is I want to remove as many of those steps as possible. And until recently, when we did courses, we actually used a tool called Camtasia, which we still use. But Camtasia is a wonderful tool for people who are teaching online or instructing when they want to be able to they want to be able to basically capture what they're doing and have the screen share, have a PowerPoint presentation, include a headshot from a webcam, and have it go directly into the computer where you can edit it in Camtasia. So we still use that, but at the end of the day, if I'm creating a course, I still have to do a lot of editing right within Camtasia after I've captured it. And again, that takes time. So for me, what we tried to do is find a way that we could remove the amount of editing that had to be done and try to get it so that we could capture live events, use the live content, and then in fact, the captured content we'd be able to use in courses with the minimum amount of editing. So if I'm using Camtasia, I necessarily couldn't go live. So I'd have to go live, record what I had, and then bring it into an editor like anything from Adobe or DaVinci, or bring it into Camtasia to actually do the edit. So we captured it in a live event and brought it into edit. So my goal is to be able to do a live event and be able to use the live event as still the course with a minimum amount of editing. So what I did personally is we did a lot of research on this, and the tool that I found that works best for that is what we had to look at. What are the different ways that we can do live events online? What are the different ways that we can capture content? What are the different ways that we could just do stuff during the day that has value, that could be converted into a course, or could be converted into some kind of tutorial or lesson or something that I want to use in my campus? So what's the best tool for doing that live? Again, number of choices. There's three kind of big options that are available now in most cases. The first one that we looked at was one called OBS, which is open, I think you're calling open broadcast software. And that's one that runs on a PC. And what it does, it's basically a studio in a box. You can run like your own TV station, fancy studio, and output it live. So there was that one. There's other ones, for example, that we've used in the past, which are services, where these are hosted services that you can log into their site and use that tool to do a live broadcast and have it recorded. The one that you'll hear most frequently is probably StreamYard. There's another one called Riverside that's popular, Melon App, is another one. Melon app is actually is also created by OBS. So those are hosted services. And then there was another one that was Mac only called Ecamm Live. And all of these ones basically allowed you to do a live broadcast with some form of edits in and around the actual live broadcast. And what that means, for example, is if you take a look at this one here, right now I've got a headshot up and I've got the screen capture, right? If I wanted to, I can just go directly to the full screen. And if I even wanted to, I could take the full screen and basically put a headshot in there, put my head in, take it out whenever I wanted. So it's just like a live broadcast, right? I have one here, for example, the one that we had before is if I want to show a mind map. That's something I can do. I've got the headshot in, got the mind map there as well. If I want to do, for example, where I just want to do a Chrome window, back of the headshot, it's there. The other one that I want to do is maybe I'm just doing a headshot and I want to take comments or questions online. So I've got a scene for there. What about if I just want to do a headshot and not worry about anything else and just have me live into the camera? That's something that we can do there. And we've even got one too, and I'll just see if this one's actually on. I think it is. Make sure it's on. I have one here actually for my iPhone. So if I want to actually do a live broadcast from my phone, whatever you see on the phone, that can be part of it. The one that I'll show you now is the video pencil. There we go. That's my video pencil, and which is just an iPad with a little piece of software on it. And I can write directly on the pencil and have that up as the live stream. And these are just some scenes that I set up personally. So these are examples of how you can create a live broadcast that is already a course. So instead of having to capture something live, bring it out of the recording and then slice it, put it together, you can create scenes or lessons in the course, have them look the way that you want. You can do them live, but the recording now is already set up as the course. And what that allows you to do is completely remove one of the steps, almost completely remove one of the steps of editing, and have something that serves two purposes: the live training, a live class, but also as a recorded course or lesson after. So that's a powerful tool. It's one that we're using, getting a little bit better at building out the scenes. Those are just some of the examples of the ones that we used. And if you go to Ecamm Live, there's a whole community around Ecamm Live. The only downside for some people is it's Mac only software at this part. So you would have to have a Mac to be able to do that. You can do similar things, for example, on Riverside or StreamYard. The thing is that you don't have the amount of flexibility as you do if you're doing it on Ecamm, where you can create all the looks and basic structures or templates of what actually happens in real time. And again, Ecamm, I just showed you a couple scenes. You could have each lesson can have those multiple scenes in it. So if you wanted to show a headshot at the start of the lesson, you wanted to go to that video pencil where you could diagram out a process that you're talking about. Then you wanted to have a screen share of what you were actually doing, or the ability to have a PowerPoint running with your headshot showing up to go through it, go back to a live or a case study, and then go back to your headshot. If you wanted that structure for a lesson, you can actually do that live, get it set up, and it's recorded. All the editing's done, which is huge, huge, huge benefit when you're wanting to teach online. So that's an example of what we're doing, is looking at processes, looking at all the steps that are involved in teaching online and figuring out what's the process that I'm following right now. Let's lay the steps out so that we know what it is, and then figure out, does this fit into what my big picture is? And then how can I improve on that process? And if you're able to do that in a way that is duplicatable or easy to replicate, hopefully you'll be in a position where you can just share and spend your time being a content creator and not being the technical person that's doing all the work in the background. which is exciting. Personally, I am super excited about how much opportunity there is in teaching and teaching online. It's absolutely huge what's happening. And the other part that is exciting to me is when we first started out doing the live teaching, or sorry, the teaching online and online courses. An online course was really just about online video, or a video course, or a written course with audio recordings and screen captures and video, but it was static. For the most part, it was static. And you'll see probably 80 or 90% of the courses that are being marketed and sold for people who are selling on online courses right now, it's static content. The exciting part for me, and something that's changing dramatically, which you need to pay attention to, is there is a large shift to live online teaching, live online courses. And what that means is you, the instructor, you're going to have to figure out and get comfortable on how can I be live with the people that I'm teaching and have it as a live event, to be able to broadcast live, whether it be on YouTube or directly on a website or in your own membership site. How can I do that? How can I do these live sessions in a way that I can teach online? And then how can I use those live sessions as online courses for people that weren't be able to join me? And that's going to be huge. It's coming. Pay attention to it. It's coming really fast. And the people that are able to harness that and get comfortable with it are going to be a much better situation when it comes to building a business. And that's the other thing that's neat too. The two things that are kind of happening in the industry is this whole shift to online live training as well as recorded courses. But the other thing is this whole aspect of community. It's not enough just to, here's my course, because there's questions. There's always questions. People will always want to know or have unique situations and want your expertise as the teacher or the educator. They want to know, it doesn't happen for me like this, or how do I do it in this particular situation? So this sense of community, or collaborating, or having a group of people working together on an outcome based on what it is you're teaching, that's the other huge opportunity. So I think in the next little while, you're going to see a huge move to live online teaching and a huge move to communities. And you can do that with Teach Online, because that's exactly what we show you how to do. It's about starting, building, and growing an education business. It's about having a campus where you can teach online, where you can keep your online courses, where you can build a community and allow people to interact with each other. And if you want to, you can choose to monetize it and have it as your own paid school, or your own free community site, or a blended one in between. Totally up to you on how you want to do it. So there is a business opportunity there. If you're looking at it and you're going, hey, this is something I'm interested in, make sure to at least join teachonline.io, get involved in the community where we share that, the maps and the campus blueprint to get that started. And then just think, is this something I want to do? Am I excited enough about what I do and what I know to be able to share it? And is it something that I think can benefit people? So huge opportunities. I'm excited about it. And if you are a subject matter on anything, do the homework first. Think about what it is that you what you know and what you want to share, and do the homework and figure out, is it something that other people want to learn about? And if there's enough of those people, do I want to turn it into a business? Totally up to you. But now there's a place where you can do that live as well as in a recorded fashion, and in a way that you can choose to earn money or not earn money. So super excited times. So I hope you enjoyed this. I think, I don't know how I do this, but I end up talking for 50 minutes just off the top of my head on things that I'm kind of thinking of. Just to do a quick recap, what we did is we talked about the E-Myth and processes. Don't get stuck as a technician, get stuck as the entrepreneur, but in our case, the course creator, and having that big picture in front of you on what you want to do with all of your expertise, whether it be sharing it for money or not, but being able to educate people and be able to teach online. Talked also about looking at those processes. That's the thing that allows you to move forward. We use a tool called Teamwork. Again, there's a whole bunch of them there. We went over some of them. Having a process in place and allowing you to be focusing on creating the content and all of these other basic steps, being able to have people do that for you, or knowing when you're starting out that the goal is, how can I just focus on being a teacher and not be stuck on doing everything by myself, which is not a scalable proposition. You'll never grow out of that. In fact, you'll be consumed by it. So focusing on that. And then the next thing was, final thing was just, hey, this is the opportunity about creating your content. It's going to be live and communities are going to be a big part of it. So keep those things in mind as you're watching YouTube Shorts, you're watching TikTok Shorts, you're searching on YouTube, figuring out stuff, you're taking online courses, you're consuming all this knowledge from other people, and you're wondering, well, how can I package up what I know? Think of these things and give us a visit at teachonline.io. Again, sign up to the community. It's free to join. Take a look at that stuff. I would love to meet you, love to hear what you're up to, and more importantly, share what we've been doing, starting, building, and growing courses online. This is James Maduke speaking from teachonline.io. I better get ready here to bring this in for landing. So what am I going to do? We'll click finish. That's the end of it. Take care. Expect the best.